For Sunday, July 19th, 2020. This is the one and only Pro and Con Show, and I'm the host of the Pro and Con Show. My name is Michael James Ott. As always, welcome to the show. So the purpose of the show is to talk amongst each other, to encourage us to be better citizens, which means we need to understand and appreciate we're community members together on this planet, okay? We're by definition, we can't get off the planet. We're here. So we're community members on the same planet, and, whether it's environmental issues or some kind of regulation or taxation or deficit spending or whatever the critical issues are, the things that you think are important, whatever they are, we're going to do much, much, much better job working on those things if we talk to each other, not from the perspective of this agonism term, which is the warrior stance of, oh, you brought up abortion, warrior, no, you baby killer, no, you woman killer, or whatever. We've got to step away from that stuff and quite frankly, the political parties have been pushing our emotional buttons to segregate us and control us in two camps, because it's easier to keep a camp and try to win somebody in the chasm between the two camps than to just have everyone thinking reasoned and reasonable thoughts. That's what they think. And generally, at the moment, that's true. It's true for them, the rich and powerful people that run our political parties. But anyway, I digress. Today's show is called Healthcare with a question mark. I don't normally put that in my titles, but today, healthcare. One of the things, of course, that is brought up on a regular basis, and it'll be brought up this year during the election cycle repeatedly, is a discussion around healthcare. What is and is not appropriate? How much does it cost? And of course, the political parties will be pointing at each other and saying their plan, will bankrupt America. Their plan will kill every American in the country. Don't listen to that rhetoric. Don't listen to the propaganda. And the right way, by the way, which I've talked about over and over and over again, which we will not do unless you and I step forward and be much better citizens. We have to force this kind of level playing field conversation. We've got to start with, okay, stop proposing solutions and stop telling everybody why the other people are horrible traitors to the country. Stop the bullshit. Okay? Let's step back and let's talk about healthcare and get various experts, and yes, I pick them from political parties, pick them from universities, pick them from opposing views on the insurance industry and the hospital industry and doctors and nurses and pharmaceutical companies, but take some time, and yes, it's going to be boring, but that's what democracy is. Okay? It is not a game show. It is not Survivor on some tropical, Naked Survivor, whatever the hell stupid reality show. The reality of democracy is that it's boring, but it's a necessary thing. I'm going to talk about that in my next show. Participating is a necessary thing. But so in this particular part, I mean, and again, I would, and we should, by the way, we should start and just say, okay, October of 2020 is going to be Healthcare Month. And we're going to figure this out. We're going to start by having a week of various experts prepare testimony that's concise and literate, and provides the information that they think is important, and we're going to get the conflicting views and we're going to lay that out, okay, where that's clear. And yes, it's going to be live on C-SPAN or whatever, and a lot of Americans, perhaps most Americans, won't watch. Some will, but most won't. But then every day we need to have these concise executive summaries of what was said. This expert from the University of Tennessee or whatever said, and this expert that is a representative of the insurance industry said, whatever it is. And just here's some fundamental key points that both sides, or all the sides, brought forth today. You do that Monday, you do that Tuesday, you do that Wednesday, you do that Thursday. You do that for a week, or maybe two, if you need to, if you think you do. But step by step, what you do is you get to a place where the information is there. And all of us, you and I, we can look at it. Okay? There it is. There's the information. We can look at it and we can think for ourselves. What does this mean? But I will tell you that it feels to me like, and again, I'm not trying to be prescriptive, but just to give some idea around, the problems. Here's a short list. So one is we don't focus on preventative stuff at all. Well, not hardly at all. Probably 95% of healthcare is focused on, fixing something that's bad with us, and those bad things very often come from our lifestyles. We are, tremendously obese and out of shape, and we don't drink enough water, and the water that we do drink in some areas is contaminated and causes cancer, and the list goes on and on and on. And we need to have a big focus on preventative, appropriate health care, and all of us, again, to be better citizens. We need to understand what that means for us. And if it says, wow, our lifestyles could be greatly improved, which they could be, and the cost of health care would go down considerably, which it would, we need to be much more focused on preventative kinds of things. Just like we, if you're smart anyway, you're flossing your teeth and you're brushing your teeth on a regular basis. Why? Because it's better to have teeth in your head than not. Okay, and it's expensive to fix all that if you aren't taking care of your teeth. The same thing with healthcare. So one, preventative. Focus on preventative healthcare. Two, transparency. It is amazing to me. Just think for a moment, okay? A little tangent here. You walk into a grocery store and all the products there are there on the shelves, and there's not a price to be seen anywhere. You pick up a can of beans, or pick up a ham, or a carton of ice cream, or a bag of potato chips, or a loaf of bread. There's not a price to be seen anywhere. And it's only when you go to carry those items out of the grocery store that you suddenly find out what the price is. And oh, by the way, it's really hard to figure out if you're at a Hy-Vee, or I don't know, pick your grocery store, or one of the big box things like Target or Walmart or whatever, wherever you do your shopping. Just imagine if they were selling groceries and you didn't know what the groceries cost until you actually paid for them, and often you didn't know that day. You wouldn't find out for like a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks until you got a notice in the mail. And now you know how much it costs. The transparency around healthcare is horrific and needs to be fixed. And why is it horrific? Because you and I have allowed it to be horrific. The doctors, the hospitals, the insurance companies, the pharmaceutical companies. It's called limiting competition through ignorance. if you don't let anybody know pricing, except for the select few that are in the industry, then the consumer, that's you and I, we don't have a clue, and we're powerless to do anything about it. So that's a big problem. Transparency, preventative care, transparency. Then, of course, I mentioned the big companies. So big pharma, big insurance, big hospital companies, the doctors themselves, so on. These are big problems, and of course they all want to make money, and they want to. This being America and capitalism, and our definition of success is to maximize your accumulation of money and power and influence. So this is what's driving the behavior. People are trying to be successful per our definition, your definition of success, which you need to change, by the way. Anyway, they're all being driven by this. There you go. Okay. And then the other thing, we need to talk about the intent behind the healthcare system, especially some kind of government mandated healthcare system. And again, I'm offering a few words on this. I am not saying that this is an answer or anything. I'm just saying this is a thing to think about. But we would spend the time, if October was Healthcare Month, we would spend the time first fundamentally talking about, what's the data and what it means and where it comes from, and then the pros and cons, and then ultimately, potential solutions. But one of the seemingly appropriate things, at least in my head, thinking on my own, but again, we would do this collectively and come probably to a different conclusion. But thinking on my own, thinking about these things, government for healthcare should probably try to be providing a kind of a safety net, just like Social Security is kind of a safety net. And why? Because frankly, a lot of us humans aren't that great at establishing some kind of retirement plan. That's why Social Security exists. And, could we be counted upon to be smart about, saving for health care and then negotiating for good health care rates or whatever, these kinds of things? Certainly some of us, yes, but many of us, no. Okay, so just like Social Security, some kind of healthcare, health security. Instead of, a Social Security number, maybe there's a health security number, an HSN. Anyway, but some kind of safety net, and just like retirement, if you want to do other stuff and save and all that to embellish over Social Security, which is a good idea, you do the same thing with healthcare. You could save or buy plans or whatever that would embellish or improve the basic safety net that the government was ensuring that everyone would have. And part of that safety net has to understand that a big part of our costs is end-of-life costs. And the reality is that, and also there's also malpractice, so suing each other over, admittedly sometimes, very bad behavior, one individual or one corporation against others. But still, from a safety net standpoint, would seem like we should talk about, end of life kinds of stuff, and just how much of a safety net do we provide for end of life, and just how much of a safety net do we provide if some bad thing happens to you during your life that's actually, due to the negligence or something of some other person or a corporation or something. But even so, as a safety net kind of thing, how much of a safety net, and that's a thing that we have to just talk about. So all of those things impact all the costs of healthcare and why it continues to go up extraordinarily quickly. And there's a lot of people making money, and there's a lot of people suffering. And what we should be talking about is fundamentally what's driving all that, figure out what's good and what's bad, promote the good, try to make it better. The stuff that's bad, try to fix it. And in order to do that, we need to do that together to arrive at a common ground and then step by step move forward. And I gave you a few thoughts on kind of the basic executive summary of the construct that I see. But again, over the course of days and weeks, we would, together understand that way better, and way better than in a 15 or a 20-minute video, right? All right, so healthcare, Pro and Con Show. I'm Michael James Ott. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.